Welcome everyone to the Financial Self-Defense Show on Channel 4. I'm your host, Joe Russo, with guests every week to help us through this economic crisis. This week I have two special guests that will discuss the benefits of preparing a home for sale. With us today I have Jamie McNeilis, a certified home stager, and Preston, a certified home inspector. Both professionals have offices in the Charlotte area. Welcome to today's show. Well, Jamie and Preston, thank you very much for coming today. I appreciate it. Let's start with Jamie. Jamie, are home stagers certified? And what's the process involved?
Well, this is really where sellers have to be careful because there are self-proclaimed stagers out there right now. There are a few different companies that offer designations for home staging, and I've obtained mine through stagedhomes.com, and I have the ASP designation, which stands for Accredited Home Staging Professional. I was required to complete a course where we learn proven staging techniques that have worked over the past 30 years, and also we're required to complete a home staging examination at the end of the course.
I understand you've been elected recently to an office.
Yes, that's right. The International Association of Home Staging Professionals has a regional chapter here in Charlotte, and I have been elected as president-elect for 2009.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why use a home stager? I mean, does it really work? Does it help with the speed of the sale of the house or the price?
Absolutely. Staged homes really, it's a way to set your home apart from others, not only in your neighborhood, but your local market. Stagedhomes.com did a study a couple years ago, and the results showed that staged homes sell for about 7% more in half the time.
7% more?
Yes.
In half the time?
Yes.
That's incredible, especially in today's market. And that's the theme of the show, basically, is to try and prepare our sellers' homes for sale so they sell a lot quicker and at least get the price that they want, or as close to the price that they want. You must have a really fun job. I mean, you go in, basically, you decorate somebody's home, you get to spend their money. I mean, is that pretty much how it is?
Actually, not at all. The goal of staging is to work as much with the seller's existing items in the home as possible. There are a number of things that make a huge difference that the sellers can do without having to spend any money. The first one being cleaning. People have to go beyond their everyday cleaning to get their house ready for market. They need to clean out the dead bugs out of light fixtures, the baseboards, the blinds, all sorts of things. Even cleaning out the oven and refrigerator are key in getting your home ready for a market. Another thing they can do that doesn't cost any money is kind of declutter and depersonalize, and that's where a stager can come in and give you direction as to what should be pre-packed. Since they're going to be moving anyway, now's a great time to start putting some of those things away so the home really, you can show the features of the home rather than the individual seller's possessions.
You must have some issues, a lot of pack rats where people just store, and you have to bite the bullet and
exactly.
just throw some of this stuff out.
Some of the things they can either donate, consign, take to Goodwill and so forth, or even get a storage unit if necessary.
Have anybody break out into tears when they start to dispose of some property?
Some people have a hard time, but I think they, once they fully understand what's involved, and the goal is to sell their home and not to reserve their knickknacks. I mean, they can take those with them to their next home. You have a little psychology
mixed into your ASP.
Exactly, it is.
So basically, an interior decorator really doesn't cut it as far as staging a home.
That's right. Interior design is actually the complete opposite of staging. When a designer comes in your home, they're going to work with you and your tastes and preferences and come up with a design that works for you, which might not work for the masses that are coming through your home, whereas a stager works to make your home as appealing as possible to the broadest audience of buyers that are coming through.
What's the biggest problem when you go in to stage your home and somebody says, well, what do I do? The biggest problem that you come across?
Just getting them to realize that you're selling the home and not the stuff in it, and just educating them on the process of why we're need to take down some of your family photos.
Back to the psychological aspect.
Exactly.
Yeah. Have you ever been into a home where it's been an absolute nightmare? I mean, this was like the biggest challenge you've had so far.
There's been a couple different scenarios. There's been situations where I have families with several children. They have very active lifestyles. Both the mother and father work, and it's just organization is key, and coming up with a plan that's going to work for them and keep them on it so their house is ready to show at any given time. And then also there's been situations with vacant homes where I've had realtors call me because the sellers want to get a quote on what it would take to stage it with furniture and accessories. And then once I got there, the paint schemes or the fixtures they had in the home just needed so much work that I told them that they'd be better off spending their money neutralizing the paint and maybe updating a few light fixtures and so forth, rather than spending that money on rental furniture. Because it's not going to look good even if you bring in furniture if they don't address those primary issues first.
So pretty much they have to take the bones of the house and straighten out the bones before they even...
That's right.
really fix it
So
up.
in that case, I actually lost the business, but I wouldn't feel comfortable bringing in, furniture if they weren't willing to do anything with the actual structure of the house.
Preston, let's find out a little bit about home inspectors. Are they certified? Are they licensed? What's the procedure as far as getting a home
Sure.
inspector?
In North Carolina, there is a licensing procedure. You have to pass a state exam, and it's a rather lengthy, extensive exam. But to qualify for the exam, there's a couple of routes. If you're a licensed contractor, you can sit for the exam. If you are an engineer or an architect, you can sit for the exam. Now, there's another route where you become an associate home inspector, and you have to work under a fully licensed home inspector, and you have to work for a year and perform 100 inspections, and then you get to sit for the test.
What about doing a pre-inspection on these homes? Is it really worth it? You think it's necessary? I know in the book that I wrote, Selling Your House in This Housing Emergency of 2008, I profess and I suggest to sellers that they really should get a home inspection. This way they know what the problems are, so there's no surprises and how to deal with them. How do you feel about it?
Absolutely. Buyers, they buy a house on emotion. How they feel when they go in, the feng shui or what, and I probably didn't even say that right, but they buy it with emotion, then they back it up with logic. Mm-hmm. And, the logic is where the home inspection comes in. Let's say, you buy your dream home, but then you find out, the bandsail's eaten out with termites, the roof leaks, and now all of a sudden this emotion train is just run off the track because you're thinking this house is going to be a nightmare. And then a couple of things happen. Either you lose the buyer because they sort of get spooked, or now the buyer, you're faced with emergency because you have to get these things fixed right away because the closing, you've got a time deadline. Sure. So you're faced with, quick repairs, hurry up charges. And the other thing that could happen is the buyer could use that and try to get you down on your price. Now let's take that same scenario and say you had a pre-inspection. You found out about the termite damage and the leak, and you were able to price it out, get good prices, reputable people, get them to come out there and fix it, to take that out of the process. So now when they inspect it, the emotion's there, they're not going to get spooked, and they can't get you down on your price.
So basically it's a great idea because this way the seller can prepare ahead of time for any problems that come up.
Absolutely.
Basically, I think we agree on that.
Absolutely.
Do you find that a pre-inspection helps with and I guess really this is a no-brainer as far as the answer goes, but I would assume it helps with the price of the house because it's better prepared, or do you actually get into that end where you do a re-inspection of the house after they do the repairs? In other words, you find that the house is pre-inspected, the house gets sold quicker and for more money than the seller expected.
Right. I on average, there have been studies that have proved that very thing that you said. And if you have two houses on the same street, everything else being equal, one that's pre-inspected will sell for more than one that hasn't. Think about when you buy a car. If you go to Joe's Used Cars and just buy as is, or if you buy a certified pre-owned car that's been through a however many point inspection, there's more value there. And if I'm buying a car for my daughter, I want one that's been pre-inspected.
What about a buyer who wants to use a seller's inspection? They want to use a seller's report.
We recommend it. We highly, that happens all the time. They come in and, especially if they're a little bit tight on money, they want to use the seller and ask if they can have our inspection. I highly recommend it. You're probably going to ask that next question, I imagine, but there are some downsides to that. There could be some time that's elapsed since they've done the inspection, and you have to remember that a home inspection is a picture in time. Mm-hmm. A water heater can, develop some problems 3 months from the time it was inspected, but on that day it was fine. Then the other thing is, be a little bit wary. I'm all for pre-inspections, but if you're buying a house and it's been pre-inspected, look at that report and make sure, did they do a thorough job, or was this the guy's buddy, who tried to help him out?